This is the Momentum Podcast. I joke around that my wife always says process in a marriage isn't sexy, but you end up having a lot more sex. The reality of that statement is that she said it one time, and then I repeat it over and over again and quote her. So it's really I say that all the time, but Katie gave me the idea. So today we're going to be talking about morning routines, and I'm excited to have Katie back with me.
Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be here for the second time this week.
I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future. And instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be. So, when it comes to morning routines, I'm just going to give you a quick background on me. I have been using a morning routine since I was 10. When I was a kid, I transferred from 6th grade to 7th grade. I was always the youngest in my class, or one of the youngest in my class. And I had trouble getting out of the house and having to go to a school that was like 6 or 7 miles away from my house. I had to either ride a bike or leave really early and walk. And maybe it was 3 or 4 miles. I don't want to be one of those people who's like walking backwards in the snow with no shoes, but it wasn't great. And I had to have a morning routine because what I found was if I got up and I didn't follow some type of process or structure, I was always late, and I started getting in trouble in school. And there was enough that I did in school to get in trouble already. I didn't need to add to it. And I realized that when I wrote everything out and I checked the boxes as I was going through them, I actually went way faster. And as a kid, my morning routine developed from just getting out of the house to then like going and walking and doing other stuff for myself and being able to have time for reading or watching what I wanted to watch on an early morning TV. And I have kept that discipline all the way up till now. So I'm 49 years old. I have almost 40 years of morning routines. Katie, morning routines for you were not the same.
They were not the same. So I'm a little bit more free-spirited, and I also am, I would say, process averse in a lot of ways. I mean, I think in our business, I understand structure. I obviously understand that operational systems, and I absolutely believe that process will set you free. But yeah, I definitely have been slow to adopt a morning routine.
Now, I'll say you can
I've had fits and starts.
Yeah. And just on the concept of morning routine, you can be a free spirit and have a morning routine. You can be somebody who's completely process averse. Like in a lot of ways I am. I know that process has become a strength of mine, but it's because I had so many weaknesses I had to build around it. And so if you're listening, the reason that we recorded this as a Making Love and Business Work podcast is because over the course of time, Katie has added a morning routine, and I think it's made our marriage much stronger. And I know that might seem like, wait a second. One person adding a morning routine has improved the marriage. How is that? And so today, for this podcast, I wanted to just do a quick interview with Katie on how a morning routine has helped her, especially in the past year or two where she's really dug in on it, how a morning routine, how she feels it supported our marriage, and how overall what it's done for her in her life. So when you think about it now, you just shared how you were with routines. Why don't you get everybody caught up to where you are now as far as morning routine goes?
Sure. I have a written morning routine. I also it's really a daily routine because I have a portion of the morning that is really structured. And then I have things throughout the week that I want to get done. And if I don't have them written down, then I don't get them done because I have a lot of things going on. And, life is busy for entrepreneurs. We are not exempt from that. And so, that's the way that it's structured. It has things that I want to get done during the week so that I can just make sure that I'm checking them off my list throughout the week.
Now, you and I have a similar structure to our morning routine. I have the morning is just like one block, and I do these in spreadsheets so that I can save them over time. I don't fill them out on the computer. I actually print them and use a pen to check them off. And then I have a block of all the things that I want to get done on a daily basis, and I want perspective. So I have all of the biohacking I could do, and then I choose on a daily basis what I want to do, and then I check a box, and so I get perspective over time. I know how much I've done, and then I also have the things that I want to do with my family. Like I run with my oldest daughter, Reagan. I walk with my youngest daughter, Kennedy. I walk our dog. I want to make sure that like I don't get to the end of the week and I'm like, man, I think I ran with Kennedy, or I think I went for a walk. We like to do it maybe five times a week, and it gives me a perspective. Is that similar for you?
It is similar for me. I think that there are things that I want to get done with you. I also want to walk the dog. We recently started taking voice lessons, so we have vocal warm-ups that, I want to get done. And, I also have, different types of things that I do. I like to dance, but I won't take that time for myself, I realize, because I'll figure out something to fill the day if there's not structure around it. And so what used to happen is I wouldn't get them done, and then I would be like, oh, I'm failing. I'm beating myself up. I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so, now I can look at it and I get perspective on the week instead of it all living in my head. And then I'm like, hey, like I didn't get everything done, but I feel like if I'm at 85%, that I'm really succeeding.
Yeah, I think, almost every entrepreneur in some way is a recovering perfectionist, even when we don't admit it. Even for people like me who I don't even feel like I have perfectionist vibes, other people point out that I do. Because like when I have a morning routine, I want to get 100% of it done. But I've actually adjusted too and said, if I get to 80, 85, 90%, that's going to be a really good week because I build such rigorous routines and I put so much into it. So Katie, how do you feel like having this routine has helped our marriage?
Well, I think it helps our marriage because I get the things that I want to get done for me, so I can show up feeling well rested and well taken care of, and so I'm not living in my head, I'm more in my body. So I definitely show up in our relationship more centered, in all of my relationships more centered. And then I think because the way that the mornings are structured, we have always done our morning alignment, but I'm on time for it, like we're together and we're meeting and we're both prepared. And so when we're coming, not one of us is like, oh, I need 10 more minutes, like I forgot about it. Cause I'm not looking at the clock and understanding kind of the pace of the morning. And, we get the kids to school on time now, we're not ever like chasing them out. We're rarely going, hey, we gotta go, which is kind of how it was when I didn't have a morning routine, which was not the mom that I wanted to show up as either. And so I think it's just, it creates a very structured morning, and which creates more peace in our relationship and more peace in our household. Yeah,
for sure. And when you think about when you look at the morning routine that you have now, how in our company, I often tell people that we run our company together, and they always go, oh, well, how does your wife support you? And it's funny because that's one of the assumptions people make is like, oh, you must be the assistant. Mm-hmm. And you're not. We co-founded this company. We're both executives in the company. We both have our own responsibilities, but both equally important. I don't think there's one that's above the other one. And so as an executive in a business, as an owner in a business who's running it, how does the morning routine help you show up in a way to make the business successful?
Well, I can give you contrast. When I didn't have a morning routine, like I said, there was no real self-care. It was just kind of my morning was really fluid. I might get 3 or 4 things done. I might get, 2 done depending on what time I woke up. Now I wake up at a consistent time. So like I said, there's time and space for me to take care of myself. And I think that helps me show up to the team more grounded. It helps me show up more prepared to meetings. I'm really intentional about the day. I understand what I want to get done. I understand what conversations that I need to have to drive things forward. If there's things that I really want to look at and, take a deeper dive in, then that's in my schedule and I'm looking at it and I've set myself up for success. And I think that when you show up in a way where you have created intentionality in the day, then your team feels that. If you show up when you're restless or you overslept or, you show up with that energetic and people feel it, whether they say it to you or not, they're definitely feeling it on your team because you're showing up in a way that's frazzled and reactive. And I just don't show up that way anymore.
So When I want to close with this question. When you look at your morning routine today, what do you think, if you had to highlight, what are the most important things for you that you do each day in the morning routine that you used to leave out? That when you didn't have a routine, when things were overwhelming, like what were the things that were easy to skip? I know for me, like if I'm not following my routine, I usually leave out all the stuff that supports me.
100% of the time.
It's like it's the things that are really the important stuff, like the breath work that I do, or going outside for 3 minutes for my circadian rhythm, or doing squats in the morning to reset my hormones. Those types of things are the things that I'll leave out, or meditation.
Yeah.
That would be the first thing that I throw out the window. Like when I get up, and there are times it's more and more infrequent. I'm nobody's perfect, but there's times where I get up and I get distracted by something, and I'm such a creature of habit that if I'm distracted by something, like one of the kids comes in and needs something and I go to help them and I don't come back to my morning routine, I'm also, an entrepreneur. So maybe a squirrel runs by or there's a shiny object or a shiny penny and I start going in a different direction. And then I'm like, man, why do I feel terrible today? Why is it like 9:30 and I feel like I can't get anything done? And usually this happens on a weekend. And it's because I haven't done those things that support me every day to show up the way that I want to in my life. What are those things for you?
So I think the highest leverage habit that I have is our momentum planner, but I've used that for years consistently. So even when I didn't have a morning routine, I was using that, but by far the highest leverage habit that I have. And then definitely the self-care. I, as a child, loved to dance, and I stopped dancing for years. And now, I'll dance 2 or 3 songs in the morning, and it moves energy in my system. I sit down and I do energy work, and I light candles, and I play music, and I pull cards. And so, I'm out of the spiritual closet now. So,
there's a documentary coming out where there's going to be zero spiritual closet anymore.
Yeah, that is true. But so I do the things that for me work and help me feel grounded. That may look like prayer or meditation or something like that for somebody else. But those are definitely the things that help me be centered, that help me show up centered and feel like I can really seize the day with confidence and perspective and intention. And those are the things that would definitely have been left out before.
Final thought. What is the final thought?
And the biohacking. Like this morning I got into the sauna, I did a cold plunge. Most of the time I'll do red light therapy or PEMF. So there are definitely some biohacking things that I sprinkle in to that morning routine, which is just, I feel so much better in my body.
By the way, guys, if you're thinking, man, his wife does biohacking, first she makes fun of me. First she questions me, then she makes fun of me, then she joins me. So just know that there's a little bit of a process there.
There's hope.
Yeah. When I first started doing cold plunges, she's like, you're crazy. There's no way I'm ever doing that every morning. Now it's happening. So final thought on morning routines, Katie. What do you want to share with everybody to just wrap this up?
So I think that if you're adverse to structure and adverse to routine, we say this in our content, and it's like process will set you free. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs look at process and they're like, oh, that feels so constraining and so rigid, and I want freedom, and I became an entrepreneur for freedom and to feel fluid. But if you will take just a little bit of amount of time, for morning planning, for me it's like 10 or 15 minutes. It's not like an hour. And if you'll take just a little bit of time to support yourself, you set yourself up for the day, and it's just, you get so much more leverage in your day. And so I think it's first, shifting your mindset around process and structure is first.
Process will set you free, right?
Process will absolutely set you free. And I understand that most people are like, no, but I've experienced it firsthand. A lot of our members experience it firsthand, and I just won't ever go back to the way that I was. I didn't like the way that I felt. I didn't like the way that I was showing up. I didn't like the way that I was interacting in relationships, and I'm a much better leader when I support myself.
So if you've enjoyed this podcast, I really appreciate you being here with both me and Katie. And so I have an ask. Katie doesn't do a lot of podcasts, and I want to bring her on more. And we are actually even considering the possibility of the two of us doing a breakout podcast separate from this Momentum podcast on what it takes to grow a business, grow a family, and be together for 18 years, married for 16 years, running multiple multi-million-dollar companies and winning awards in them. And how do you do that successfully over time? Not that we've always been successfully doing it, but at least we've made it through all the issues where we weren't. So if you enjoyed this podcast, here's my ask. Go on social media, tag me, tag Katie, let us know what you thought about it. Give us some feedback here. I'd love to see it, but I really want Katie to see it and have the encouragement that we should be putting more stuff like this out there because I think it's awesome when Katie comes on and shares her insights of having run multi-million-dollar businesses while having children, raising children, and being in a very connected and fulfilling family. And so let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have a minute, go join our Facebook group, Simple Operations. It's called Simple Operations. Operating Your Business Just Got Simple. That's how you can find it on Facebook. If you join the group in the next week, Katie and I are going to post our morning routines in that group, and we're going to show you everything that we have on ours, not so that you can copy it because ours is going to work. Ours works for us. It's not going to work for you, but it'll give you a really good example of how to go in the direction of building your own morning routine. So I know I'm only supposed to have one ask and it's only one call to action, but I think you can handle this, especially if you're one of my listeners. So post on social media, tag us, let us know that you loved this, and let us know what you think. We'd love feedback of any kind. And then go join Simple Operations, Operating Your Business Just Got Simple Facebook group, and check out our morning routines.